You would be the one that would have backup data files that nobody knew about. You would be the one that would have so many other ways to prevent yourself from being sabotaged by this person that you actually end up making yourself more prepared for your job. You leave everything on your computer, and then when somebody wipes your computer, you don't have anything on your computer. You start putting things on save files, and then nobody uh, they can wipe your computer every day, and nobody's got your information because you take the stuff off of the computer onto your save file before you go anywhere. Um, then you could have a locked purse for the ladies, or put it on one of those SD card necklaces that look like dog tags, and put them around your neck, and keep them under your shirt when you're for the fellas. And you would be able to literally go places and take good care of your job and take care of your job title, where nobody can sabotage your success. So it's good to have haters on the plate. It's good to speculate as to what they might do to undermine your ability to be successful, because that is how lawyers navigate legal cases. That's how cops navigate police investigations. That's how criminals evade law enforcement. That is how you can navigate your relationships. That is how you can navigate your professional life. So by all means, instead of eliminating the competition and taking them out, you use the competition to make yourself better. It's not always about, because again, think about this. When you're racing, the police pulls over the fastest car. Do you want to be in first place the whole race, or do you just want to cross the finish line first? If you and another car are going at it, and that car's got you, and then the police come, they're going to take the fastest car unless they can prove that the both of you are going the same speed at the same time, implying a race. So you're not trying to take out your competition by sabotaging their car, slashing their tires, or nothing like that. Nah, you let them have the lead. Then you catch the cop, you back down. They're still going full throttle. The cop is only going to catch one of y'all because there's one cop sitting there. And when that guy gets pulled over, you cruise on by and then accelerate and make it to the finish line, where you're the only person that won, because they don't go after number two. Weird, isn't it? He says, well, if push comes to shove, absolutely. That's the way life goes. Now, what we're going to be talking about tonight, this is going to be for the thinkers, the builders, the observers, the people with what experts are now calling quiet ambition. It's a different path to success, one that relies on quieter strengths like perseverance, determination, and strategic thinking, which is what we utilize in this most recent example. And it's about making subtle, powerful shifts that compound over time, leading to huge leaps in your career and inherently your bank account, without the stress of constant draining self promotion. You don't need to change who you are, you just need to change your strategy. So stay with me, because the methods I'm about to share are the ones high performers use behind the scenes. And they're the real secrets to getting ahead when you hate playing the game. Because, you know, unless you're going to change the game, unless you're going to remake the rules, unless you're going to be like Triple H and marry the boss's daughter so that you can start making the rules, you got to play the game if you're not going to become the game. So let's be honest for a minute. That feeling of hating confrontation, of wanting to avoid the spotlight, it comes at a cost. It's a quiet cost, one that builds up slowly over time, almost invisibly, until one day you look around and feel utterly stuck. It's the slow motion career death that nobody talks about. It starts with small things. You have a brilliant idea in a meeting, but you wait for the perfect moment to speak up, a moment that never arrives. Someone else, maybe a little louder and a little quicker, throw out a similar half baked idea and get all the credit. God forbid you tell that idea to someone else to get their approval of it before you bring it to the boss, and they bring your exact idea to the boss before you. You tell yourself it's fine, that the outcome is what matters, not who gets the credit. But a small part of you feels that sting of being overlooked. Then a high visibility project comes up, a real career maker. You're the most qualified person for it. Your skills are a perfect match, but you don't raise your hand. You don't walk into the manager's office and make your case. You wait to be chosen, believing your good work should be obvious to everyone. But that person who gets the project is the one who was in the manager's office last week talking up their ambition. You are told to keep up that great work, and you'll feel this growing resentment at that comment because it feels unfair. And it is. This is the cycle of the passive high achiever. You do excellent work. You hit your deadlines. You're reliable. And yet you're still invisible. You watch colleagues with less skills and less dedication leapfrog you for promotions and raises, all because they're willing to play the political game. And you start to feel like a ghost in a machine. Your motivation drops. And why? Why push yourself to deliver A plus work when B minus work from someone else gets more recognition? Gotta tell you, he says this hits home. It reminds me of how it feels to be the nice guy finishing last, even with all the courtesy and work ethic. The method behind the nice guy finishes last is because we will allow somebody else to take a crack at it first out of courtesy. But if they succeed, we never get the opportunity. In relationships, the idea that nice guys finish last is because the girls are not looking for nice guys in the beginning. They're looking for excitement. They're looking for adventure. They're looking for the bad guy that their parents disapprove of as somewhat of a subconscious rebellious phase to spite their parents. They're looking for a little bit of volatility in their lives, especially if they came out of extreme quantities of stability. Then after they've been through all of the chaos and they're no longer looking for the stability, the last thing they look for is the nice guy, the stable guy, the vanilla guy, the bland and boring guy, because they're tired of the chaos. They're tired of the uncertainty. They're tired of the roller coaster. It's a little late when they make that decision, but that's the full dynamic of where nice guys finish last. Because in even the business world, if you give your opportunity to somebody else before you step up, basically getting to the back of the line voluntarily, you reduce your quantity of success by the percentage of people that are in line before you. Because a person can get got before all of the candidates are overviewed. Just like casting for a movie role, they could line up 100 actors and pick the first one. If you're number 99, there's 98 opportunities out of this day that you don't get picked before they even get to you, where you didn't even get a chance to audition. And Nice Guys Finish Last is exactly that, is that somebody else will get picked before you because they had the opportunity to audition before you. Well, no, I got the glasses. I don't have the red pill. He said I'm experiencing something like that at work now. A lot of people are. And this is why I tell you guys, you got to stick around because you're not alone in these types of experiences. This doesn't just happen in white collar work, the Fortune 500 companies, office jobs, and stuff to that effect. This also happens in blue collar work, manual labor work, restaurant jobs. If you are working in a company where more than one person does the same job that you do, this is going to happen to you. If you are not the first person to run to the boss and say, hey, I overheard about such and such opportunity and I want it, and this is why I qualify to get it. Unless you're the first person to jump up and say, boss, I got an idea. Unless you're the type of person that navigates through these things, you are not going to have anything that you need to be successful because you gave it to somebody else and they took that opportunity and they ran with it. The psychological toll on these scenarios is huge. You start to internalize the lack of validation from your company because they can only pick one of you. You begin to question your own value with the company because you didn't step up. Is my work actually any good? Am I really capable or more? Now, this self-doubt becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because you stop taking every small risk. You retreat further and further into your shell, hoping that if you just work harder, someone will eventually notice you. And the more you retract, the less they see you. And this isn't just a feeling, it's a real thing. The concept of social uh, contagion shows that we're profoundly shaped by the people around us. So social contagion is going to show you that we're profoundly shaped by the people around us. So if your environment is one where your quiet competence is constantly overshadowed by loud confidence, you start to believe your approach is just wrong. Your ambition shrinks. You stop dreaming of that next level because getting there seems to require a personality transplant that you're not willing to undergo. And you might even find yourself prioritizing the work-life balance over career growth, not because you don't want to grow, but because the price of that growth feels like becoming someone that you're not. He says a good work of ethics has satisfaction. Good work ethics has satisfaction and purpose regardless. You can always switch to a different company if you are willing to take that risk. Now, I want to address this real quick because you qualify for a raise. Not every time does the boss evaluate all of the people on the payroll to offer them more money. Now, if you qualify for a raise and you ask for one, the boss will evaluate you and see if you qualify for one. If you qualify for a raise and the person sitting next to you asks for a raise, they get a raise, but you don't. You are going to feel bitter about the fact that they didn't give you a raise, but there's 7 or 8 people in your position doing less work than you, getting paid more money than you. That resentment will lead you to, as you're recommending here, you can always just change companies. Now, think about promotions. Promotions are going to be based off of productivity. Promotions can be handed to you based on the fact that you are outperforming everyone else. However, companies still have quotas to fill. Some companies may no longer put minorities into leadership positions just because they're minorities, but they will put women in leadership positions just because they're female, because that quota has not been abolished yet. Women's equal rights in the workforce still requires them to be a minimum quantity of female employees in management. So if you and three other guys are aiming for the same job, you might be able to get picked out just because of your skills. But if you and three other guys and a female are up for the same management position and you don't say nothing, they might put her in first just to meet the quota. Doesn't mean she doesn't deserve it. It just means if you don't speak up and say, hey, boss, I really qualify, they're not even going to consider it. Now, because you didn't step up, because you didn't speak up for yourself, if that leads you to having that type of disappointment and resentment because good work ethic does not have the satisfaction that you want it to have if you are working in a cubicle amongst cubicles where your performance is observed on a computer, where you are a warehouse worker amongst warehouse workers, where your performance is part of the bigger picture. You have to step up, because when we start thinking, well, if I don't like this job, I can go get another one. It takes 6 to 9 months, sometimes longer, to get a new job. And the other issue we're going to have with that is each time you change a job, you reduce the average quantity of time you stay on a job. So instead of having one job for 20 years, now you've had 5 jobs in the last 15 years, which is averaging 3 jobs a year. Doesn't show longevity. Considers you a less qualifiable candidate, because while you never miss a day from work from each one of your jobs within 3 years you quit. The older you get, the harder that's going to be, because no matter how experienced you are, they're going to start you at the bottom of whatever position you get in. If you are overqualified, they're less likely to hire you because they wanted to pay an intro salary for this position, and you were overqualified for the position. So instead of them paying, accepting you for what you're worth, they will either convince you to accept the bare minimum because that's their standard offer, or they will inform you that you are overqualified for the intro level position that they're looking for, and wish you the best of luck on your future endeavors to find a company that is looking for that level of experience. Now, Steve says, I still work hard, but I now have the attitude of fuck the company and let them have the slackers who talk a good game, and I just fall back and do what I got to do to get my check, knowing it is not forever. I'm sorry to hear that. Steve, if you are a mid-level effort in your company and your mid-level effort is more than the bottom 49% that qualifies to be terminated from their job, but it is less than the top 30 people that qualify to get a promotion, you claim that this is not forever. Now, until you started coming to this show, you were not planning or budgeting or saving in any way, shape, or form for an extended unemployed position, meaning early retirement. In order for you to quit this job and not lose everything that you have, you would have to have between 6 and 18 months worth of money set aside so that you can quit this job you don't like and go find a better job. But if your job walks past you and does not acknowledge you and you don't say anything, That's partially your fault. Your resentment towards the job is the byproduct of them not choosing you. But a lot of times, them not choosing you can come from a number of factors. One, you didn't speak up. That's always an issue. Two, you don't qualify because you're not doing your A game. You're doing just enough to get by. Three, you could have had negative experiences on the job that you forgot, that you assumed that they wouldn't take into consideration. Fights in the break room, coming into work late, leaving from work early, calling in sick too often, um, unreliable behavior patterns. But you want a responsibility of having more hours. Here's another problem. You want a promotion to a position that wants you to be there 65 to 70 hours a week. You don't want to work 45 hours. They normally put caps on overtime. You're not coming in on your days off. You don't want to put in the extra time. You're showing them that you're limiting the amount of time you're willing to work. They're looking for a person that's willing to put in another 30 hours, and you're not that guy. You are disqualifying yourself by not performing at the capacity of the new position that you want to get. And that limitation will put you in the previous suggestion of you're going to go find you another job. But when you say that I do what I got to do to get by because I know that this isn't forever, what steps are you making to change this from being forever? Because ask yourself, how many years have you been working on this job? 3, 5, 9, 11 years? And if you haven't changed anything in the last 11 years, how many more years are you going to be on this job before you make a change? Another 11 years? That's 22 years. That is a full career that deserves a retirement. How much money do you have to retire? You might have 3 months of money set aside just in case of an emergency. When your emergency funds run out, how much money do you have to live off of? Nothing, right? Which means that you're going to do what? Go right back to work. And that means that you're just going to take a short break, an extended vacation, and then you're going to change jobs and go somewhere else. That is the reason why just regressing on your job is not good enough for you. Because actually, if you excel on your job, you could literally use your current job as a reference because they're going to call your current employer. And guess what? If your current employer is getting phone calls from other people that they're looking for someone with your skill set and they're willing to offer a pretty penny for you, you're likely to get the promotion or the raise from your current job so that they can keep you on their workforce. If nobody wants you, your current employer can pay whatever they want. But if your current employer doesn't want to lose you, they're more than willing to put up a little extra money somewhere, put up a little extra benefit somewhere to keep you around within reason. And we're going to get into that more soon. Is that you're right? If you don't speak up and actively seek a promotion, you will not get it. Please see Rachel in HR. You're being terminated. That's what happens when you stop working hard. 5 years and I'm currently in college. Okay, Steven, 5 years and you're currently in college. While you're in college, you're going to assume that you're going to get out of college, get a better job, 2 middle fingers to this job, blase squase. Guess what? The job that you're working on is 9 times out of 10 not the field of your degree. As a result, when you get out of college, guess what you're not going to have? The 5 years of experience in the field of your degree of choice. Then the degree of choice does not provide any trade skills related to the field of your degree. Depending on the job, you are still going to need 5 years or more of experience on the job, which requires you to shadow that person, which requires you to have an unpaid internship in a lot of situations. And you are not capable of putting in that type of effort if you are not willing to put in extra work. You're going to need to, for whatever career you want to do before you get out of college, you're going to want to need to go and find companies that have the title you're looking for. Actively communicate with their leadership so that you can shadow them for and these are going to be some traits I'm going to be talking about later, but I want to tell you this real quick while you're talking about it. You want to shadow these people, follow them around on your days off, listen to what they have to say, learn from them, maybe try to help them out a little bit on your days off when you're not at work. Let them know how you're working hard on your job, you're working hard at your schoolwork, you're keeping up good grades, you're keeping up a good living situation, and you're just trying to get your foot in the door in a company like this one. And by the time you graduate from college, you would have met somebody who knows somebody who knows that there's the exact job position that meets your skill set. And you can walk right out of college into a job. But if you wait until after you get out of college, there's going to be a hiatus between your degree and your employment. Why? Because you do not have 5 years of experience in the field of the degree you're going to college for. And even if you got a basement level job in the career that you're trying to go to college for, you got to get the degree to get the promotion to the job position that you wanted. And if you're working on a type of job that would get you that promotion from the degree, you do realize that the bare minimum behavior that you're performing now looks bad on your resume when you show them your degree and say, hey, I would like a promotion. Well, you've been underperforming over the last 9 months. Why should I promote you? That's that's not the mentality to have. You want to be an overachiever if at all possible, 100% of the time. He says, Steve, what's your major? That is good. What is your major, Steve? The funniest work story for me was when the company I worked for went bankrupt. We showed up to work and there was nobody there. Nobody told me about it. I actually had a going away party. The company went bankrupt and they called everybody to work. And we not only went to work and did the job, they did two things for us. They allowed us to keep all the money we made that day, tips and all, and we were drinking on the job because it was an office party. They're like, we can't fire you. We don't have, nobody comes to work tomorrow. So booze on the job, and everybody got wasted and had a good time. And then, we parted ways. The owner of the building had lost property due to bad gambling debts, but it would have been a thriving company otherwise. Yeah, social work. But think about this. When I knew about the gambling debts because one of the higher level managers in the company who knew the boss, I used to hang out with outside of work. And he was telling me about how the big boss doesn't come through very often because he's always out there gambling. So if I knew that the owner of the company had a gambling problem, and I knew that a gambling problem would lead to the business going under, not because it's not successful, but because he can't pay for his debts. If I would have proactively utilized my skill set to go find me a similar job to the one that I'm on, letting them know that we have a mass quantity of layoffs coming up, and that's why I'm changing the job, I could have transitioned over to a different position or a same position in a different company before the company went under. $63,000 per year for social workers. Yeah, the people that be stealing your children, they're getting paid $63,000 a year. That's crazy, isn't it? And that's one of the reasons. And the funny thing is that there are more females in social work than there are males. And when women want a man to make at least 25% more than she does, if she's making 63,000, bud, you're gonna have to make about 80 to 90,000, and she making 63,000 to snatch people kids out their house. You breaking bricks for 55. These females ain't gonna want to talk to you, though. The only person that gambling ever paid off for is Edwin Castro. He won the $2 billion Powerball. Well, it wasn't just him. He wasn't the only one, but those people who win the Powerball go broke shortly thereafter. Actually, every casino that exists works for the betterment of the people who work there. They make tons of money while the people who play there lose all their money. So I'm assuming you're paying a student loan. Oh, you know he's paying a student loan. You know he's paying a student loan. 5 years on the job, 5 years in college, you know he's paying student loans. The first year might be free, but the second year, you're going to realize you could use a little bit more money, especially if you're trying to subsidize your income so that you don't have to work a 40-hour week on your job. So then you take out more loans so that you can stay home more often so that you can study, especially if you live by yourself. And you're going to use those loans to subsidize your income so that you don't have to take in a roommate that's going to distract you from your schoolwork. Yeah, so you know he's paying student loans. All right. Hey, enjoy your Saturday night, bud. You be safe out there. Do not do anything that I would do. And make sure that you check her ID and make sure that she is over the age of 18. Now, let's talk about the financial cost of this, because every promotion that you were perfect for but didn't go for, that's not just a title. A lot of times that's a 15% salary increase that you missed out on. That's a higher bonus tier that you're not in. That's a smaller contribution to your retirement fund that you don't have. Compound decades over time of the financial cost of being passive in this particular dynamic is very staggering. It can be the difference between financial freedom and feeling like you are always behind. It's a difference between buying a home and renting for another 5 years. It's the real cost of silence, the most dangerous part of this whole cycle, which is that this behavior feels safe. And you got to think about this, guys. You got to think about the fact that a lot of times people think, oh, it's cheaper to rent. No, you have less responsibility to rent because the landlord manages the property. They fix what's broken upon demand, or they don't. Um, and depending on what kind of property you live on, they do the yard work and paint the house and everything to that effect, paint the apartment, take care of the roof, all of that stuff. But the difference is that when you own the house, the only time you lose the house is if you don't pay off the mortgage. When you rent the house or an apartment, once that first 12 months is up, you are likely to lose the house or the appointment. If you don't want to lose the house or the apartment, you must always go back and renew the lease for another 12 months. Because while you're under contract, they cannot get rid of you as long as you do not breach the contract. But if you do not renew the contract mandatorily, go to your landlord and say, hey, I want to talk terms. Let's renew our lease. Then they have the opportunity at any point in time after your lease has expired to have a revolving month-to-month lease agreement based on the original contract's terms and conditions. They reserve the right to raise them up with a 90-day notice, and they reserve the right to terminate your lease without cause by giving you a 30-day advance notice to vacate. So they can take your money on the 1st, give you a notice to vacate on the 5th, and you have to be out by the 3rd of the next month. Yeah, like that. The home security comes from owning your own place. Even if you got to get you a smaller place that's cheaper so that when you start including the cost for repairs, you're paying the same amount of money for the place that you own that's equivalent to the property that you was renting. But I'm going to be honest with you, depending on where you go, a $250,000 apartment is going to be the same price as a $250,000 4-bedroom house. you're likely going to end up with more space for the same quantity of money, or the same size space for far less money. Because think about those people who are in 1,500 square foot or 700 square foot apartments. If you're in a 700 square foot house, there's a very small house, you might be able to grab that house for really close to $100,000. And if you're spreading that across 30 years, you're probably spending really close to $15,000 a year. Not even $15,000 a year. You're probably spending really close to like $8,000 or $9,000 a year, where you're ultimately paying somewhere between $600 and $700 a month for your mortgage. So you went from spending almost $2,000 a month or $1,500 a month for your apartment to spending 50% of that on a mortgage for the exact same size piece of property. Think about that real quick. Because again, at least here in the United States, you're either going to get more space for the same quantity of money, or you're going to get the same quantity of space for almost half the cost. Real estate prices go up almost all the time in the United States. It's not like that in other countries. You're right, because you can go to Japan and you can go get you a property with no money. Like, they have $0 properties where the most you have to pay is property taxes on the land, where the property taxes on the land is approximately like 850 US dollars for the land. And then you can build up property into whatever you want to build it into. You can buy a plot of land and put your $250,000 house on it. You can buy a ready to move in property over there for $250,000. Because in places like Japan, real estate depreciates in value. You go find you a 30-year-old house, worth nothing. Find you one that was just built, might be worth $500,000. So you want to find you one that's ready to move in, that's cheaper. Might find one 20 years old. Move in, do a few repairs, and pick that bad boy up for about 20 grand. And after you finish rebuilding it, the after repair value would likely be closer to $250,000. Because nobody wants it, it's dirt cheap. But then if you did that multiple times, you don't have to get the money off of selling it. You could mortgage it, put a tenant in it, have the tenant's rent money paying the mortgage, and you keep the equity loan that you took out on the property, and that's your paycheck. And because the rent money is paying on the mortgage, the taxes on the property is going to be avoided because you're paying off a debt. Yeah, USA. Now, think about this. Avoiding confrontation feels like keeping the peace a lot of the times, especially in the workforce. And staying quiet feels like being humble. But what you're really doing is slowly, silently giving away your power, your authority, your capability to stand up for yourself. You are trading long-term growth for short-term comfort. And one day, you're going to wake up and realize that you have been building a career for someone else's benefit, not your own. Because you're a high-performing cog in a machine that takes your best work for granted. And that is the true devastating cost of the lack of action or inaction. So what if everything you've been led to believe about getting ahead is wrong? What if the key to unlocking your next career level isn't about becoming louder or more aggressive or even a better self-promoter? What if the most powerful moves that you can make are the ones that nobody sees coming? This is going to be the pivot, y'all. This is where we stop buying the myth that success is an extrovert's game. Success isn't about being the loudest person in the room. It's about being the most strategic. The modern workplace, especially as we head forth into 2026 with trends like flexible work and AI integration, is starting to value different skills. It's not just about who talks the most, it's about who delivers results, who has unique combinations of skills, and who can influence without needing authority. This is where we introduce the silent overhaul. Now, the silent overhaul is a philosophy built on a simple counterintuitive truth. The greatest, most sustainable growth happens from the inside out and is engineered through your environment, not through brute force confrontations. So you're going to love this. It's a career growth strategy for the rest of us, the thinkers, the introverts, the strategists, those of us who prefer to play chess, not checkers. It's founded on two core pillars: silent upgrades. These are the invisible internal changes that you make to your skills, mindset, and your habits. They're the 1% improvements that, when compounded, make you undeniably valuable. This is about becoming so good they can't ignore you, but doing the work in the background without any fanfare is going to be what you're going to have to do. Borrowed circles. This is the other method, or the other half of the method. And this is going to be the art of deliberately curating your environment, the people, information, and spaces around you to pull you towards your goals. So instead of pushing against a stagnant environment, you learn to slip into new ones that are already aligned with the growth that you want. You borrow the momentum and standards of others, making your own growth feel natural. Think of it like this: the old model of career growth is like trying to push a giant boulder up a hill. It takes a ton of sustained and visible effort. You have to grunt and sweat, and everyone sees you struggling. Silent overhaul is like changing the direction of a river. You make small strategic changes upstream. Dig a new canal here, remove a blockage there, and the powerful current naturally starts to flow in a new direction, carving a new path for you without you having to fight for every single inch. Now, this approach is about embracing what is called the quiet ambition. It's not a lack of ambition, but a different way to achieve it. One that prioritizes sustained performance over loud announcements. It's about understanding that real influence comes from your unique value, not from a title. You're not fighting for a seat at the table. You're building your own table. And soon enough, excuse me, people will be asking for an invitation. Now, this is a mindset shift. Stop trying to win their game. Start building your own. Now, next, we need to break down exactly how you're going to do that. Because every motivational speech gives you the what you don't have versus what you wish you had. But we connect the dots between where you are and where you want to be. So starting with the first pillar, we're going to explain to you guys how this is going to work. Silent upgrades are the foundation of your overhaul. Okay? And this is the deep work. These are the changes that you're going to make in private that show up as undeniable competence in public. This isn't about faking it till you make it, because everybody loves that model, pretending like you're something that you're not, until you actually become what you've been pretending to be. That's not what we're doing here. It's about secretly becoming exactly what you need to make it. We're going to focus on 4 key silent upgrades that will completely re-engineer your value in the work. The most powerful upgrade that you can make is to your identity. And most people try to change their actions to get a new result. They say, I'm going to work out more so that I can become a healthy person. I said I was going to start the show 5 minutes early so I could be on time. The silent overhaul flips that mentality. You decide on the new identity first, and then your actions naturally flow. This is going to be what I call a 30-day identity sprint. Here's how it's going to work for you. You pick a new aspirational identity. This is going to be the identity that you want to step into. Instead of pretending like you're something that you're not, you're going to start putting forward effort into becoming this type of person. Not a vague goal like be better at my job, but a concrete, powerful identity. For instance, instead of I want to learn about data, your new identity is I am a data analyst. Instead of I want to start a side project, it's I am the founder of projects. Specifics. Now, for the next 30 days, you are going to live this identity in your private choices. You ask yourself one simple question before every decision you make. What would a founder, data analyst, top strategist do right now? Would a data analyst spend their evening scrolling social media? Or would they spend 30 minutes on a free course learning a new function in Python? Would a founder complain about a problem at work? Or would they quietly start drafting a one-page solution? This isn't for show. We're not joking around here. This is a silent contract with yourself. And you start to think as well as act and learn as if you've already are that person. This is rooted in the science of neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity. By consistently making these choices, you are literally rewiring your brain to make that new identity your default state. You're building the mentality architecture for your future success before you even ask for it. An identity sprint is so powerful because it bypasses the need for motivation. Motivation is very flaky. Identity is solid. And you understand that motivation can be compromised by constructive criticism. Motivation can be compromised by belittling, degrading, and devaluation. But your identity is always going to be your identity. Who you are is always who you will be until you decide to change it, no matter how people talk to you about it. When you're identifying as a writer, you write or type on a computer or utilize one of those uh, typewriters. Even when you don't feel motivated, you go sit there in front of that laptop, in front of that typewriter, or in front of that journal, holding that pen in your hand, and you try to write something down. It's just who you are. The second silent upgrade Is moving away from the idea of a single dream job and towards building a unique skill stack, a unique skill stack. In the future of work, where AI is handling more routine tasks, the most valuable people won't be best at just one thing. They'll be the ones who combine skills from different fields to create a one of a kind talent stack. And this is how you make those unexpected career jumps. Your skill stack is your personal competitive advantage. For example, being a graphic designer is great, but there are a lot of them. A graphic designer who also understands market analysis and a capability of writing compelling copies, that person is a future creative director. A salesperson is common, but a salesperson who understands the tech behind their product and can build a simple automation to manage their pipeline, that person is on the path to leadership. The process is simple and silent. First, identify your core skills. What are you already good at? Second, look at adjacent fields. What skills, if you added it, would make you exponentially more valuable? Check out job descriptions for roles 2 levels above your own. What skills do they demand? Don't just look at hard skills. Things like communication and adaptability are critical. Third, start learning one of those skills in the background, just 30 to 45 minutes a day with a course, a book, or a small project. For example, if your HR spent a few months silently getting good at data visualization tools, when it's time to present employee retention numbers, you won't just bring a spreadsheet, you'll bring a compelling interactive dashboard that tells the entire story. You won't have to announce, I've been learning data analysis. The results of your silent upgrade will speak for itself, instantly positioning you as more strategic than everyone else in the exact same room. If you hate confrontation, it isn't easy to avoid confrontation without standing out in the crowd. But it's easy to feel like your only other option is to be a doormat. So that feeling is a false choice. And I want you to realize that. I want you to understand that. And I want you to take that and internalize it. You are not a doormat. Okay? You have other options. You are the pinnacle of performance for your projects in your occupations. But you have to show that in more unorthodox ways. The silent upgrade here is to reframe your communication style, not to be more aggressive, but to be more precise, prepared, and strategic. Because this is the art of quiet influence. Now, I'm going to give you some tactics here to help you work this part out. Prepared talking points. Y'all are going to love this because this is going to help you guys go a long way. Quiet people often shine with preparation. Before any important meeting, take 10 minutes to jot down 3 key points that you want to make or one insightful question that you want to ask. You're not trying to think on your feet in a high pressure room. You are simply delivering your prepared insights, and you'll come across as thoughtful and strategic, not just shy. We're working on now master written communication, because using your writing skills to your advantage, you can become known for writing the best follow-up emails in the company. An email that clearly summarizes a discussion, defines the next steps, and assigns ownership is a huge act of leadership. And you can do it from the quiet of your own desk. And a lot of times you can do it from the quiet of your own home on your day off. Put it on a thumb drive, bring it to work, and then it'll be on your desk when you get to the job. You can actually generate a reasonable template where a lot of the common stuff that's going to be used, such as all of the company's information, a space where the client's information gets inputted, your conclusion area, sincerely, greatly appreciate your time, whatever, your name, email, and potentially phone and fax number at the bottom of the screen, which we call a signature stamp at the bottom of the email that never changes, where the body of your letter might change based on certain details. But if you have that niche of a job position where you're writing a similar type of letter to every client, where the only thing that really changes in that letter might be the name of the client and the values in the project, you could literally create a template that all you have to do is fill in the blanks. Who's the client? What was the project for? How much did the project? What was the budget in the project? What was the profits in the project? And then when was the project scheduled to be due? And at the bottom, if you have any questions, call X, Y, and Z number. And you will be able to literally produce these things at the beginning of the project, where you have the thank you for your time letter at the very beginning of the project. When it is time for you to send that thank you for your time letter, you don't have to create it, because it was created when you were told that the project existed. Now you're working ahead of the team. When it is time to resolve that project, you can simply go to your thumb drive, plug it into a computer, give it to your secretary, have them submit it. It is already done. And now you can work on the next project. If you already know what's coming, you can prepare for it. If 80% of your document is already preconditioned, the details are the only thing that you have to put in there, which typically should only take you 20 minutes. So you shouldn't have to spend half a day drafting a thank you letter. See what I'm saying? Using questions as tools is going to be another way for you to make this work. Instead of making confrontational statements that challenge people, and I've heard this a lot of the times, and I want to get into this real quick, because we experience this in our personal lives, but we also experience this in our business lives. When people don't have anything positive to say in the topic, they will challenge what you said by challenging your qualifications to make the statement. When someone challenges your qualifications to make a statement, they are not showing you the respect of a person in that conversation, because we're not debating fact or fiction. You ask me my opinion of what I think will work, I'm telling you what my opinion is. My opinion is neither right or wrong, because it is my observation from the scenario from my perspective, which also means that when my observation from my perspective leads me to a certain decision that I then take action on, you don't have to agree with it, but I don't need to have a 10-year degree to be able to make that type of decision. See what I'm saying? I don't need to go get it from a review forum. I don't need to go in and analyze someone else's progress so that I can use them as a more credible source to prove to you to trust me. If you don't trust me, I shouldn't be here. Plain and simple, right? But those confrontational statements are always in conversations that hold you back. Instead of making those confrontational statements, you want to learn to ask powerful questions. Instead of saying, this deadline is impossible, try asking, can you help me understand the priorities here? Given our resources, we can either hit the deadline with features X and Y, or we can deliver all the features by a later date. Which option is more valuable right now? Notice, I'm not asking you, when is the project due? I don't care when the project is done, because we're not going to get it all done on time. Which would you prefer, for us to have something to present on the deadline, or delay the deadline to have a full functional version of the project? You reduce the opportunity for them to devalue your idea, because you're giving them the options and they're going to choose either A or B. Now I got a buddy that'll come out of nowhere and try to pick C, and C doesn't even exist. You have two options here. If you pick the third option, then that means that you're leaning with whatever I decide. And at that point, I'm just going to make a decision. This is going to shift the dynamic from a fight between you and the people that you are trying to work with to a collaborative problem-solving session, because you're not being difficult. You're being a strategic partner. These upgrades don't change your value. They change your impact. People will learn that when you speak, it is worth listening to. But that only comes from you speaking what needs to be heard. It's a lot like what we do here on the podcast, on This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. A lot of people hear what we have to say, and a lot of people come back for more. But if I never talk on a channel, what are the odds that people will listen? Not very much. This is real authority, that when you talk, people will listen. I had a debate about this with somebody just the other day. We were trying to work on a project together. He didn't like the project because it was my idea. He wanted to do his idea, but nobody wanted to do his idea. They thought my idea was better. It was more organized. It was hard for them to get in there and perform the steps fluently at first, because it was based on timing. But they were willing to practice it and get better at their timing. The guy I was working with was so pissed off, we had a 15-hour discussion about it. And I don't really like doing 15-hour discussions, but we had a 15-hour discussion. Throughout that 15-hour discussion, he only came up with one solution that was recommended by someone else before him in this exact same 15-hour discussion. And I had kind of ignored him for a little bit and started listening to everybody else, taking their advice. And then I went back to him and like, oh, so you're just not happy. I was like, all right, that's what I got from this. And I'm just going to go ahead and take your confusion and partner it with the other two people's suggestions. And then we're just going to mainstream this project and see what happens. He didn't show up for work on time. I put the project into action. We had no problems. That afternoon, he was pissed. We spent the rest of the afternoon discussing, what you mad about? He wanted the credit for my success. I was honest with him. Bro, I can't give you the credit. It wasn't your idea. I originated the idea. Two other people gave me some advice to modify the idea. I will give them credit for aiding me in improving the idea. but I can't give you any credit because you spent 15 hours of my time talking about something other than this project. And then when I reminded him what we talked about, and my question was, the stuff that you talked to me, what did it have to do with the project? It didn't. It didn't have anything to do with the project. That level of authority, being able to be clear about what's going on. Telling me your years of experience on a job, that's not going to help me understand the current situation. You could have been a mechanic for 25 years, but if you're not going to tell me which bolt to turn to take off this alternator, your experience means nothing to me. You could have been a surgeon for 30 years, but if you're not going to tell me where to make the incision, your experience means nothing to me. If I'm doing something wrong, you tell me what I'm doing wrong. If you just want to see something different, tell me what you want to see different, and then I will figure it out from there. But if you've got nothing else to say besides, I don't like it, well, that's just too fucking bad. Because I didn't ask you whether or not you liked it. Finally, on this section, one of the most powerful silent upgrades is mental model used by geniuses and billionaires. Inversion. Y'all need to pay attention to this. Instead of asking, how can I succeed? Flip the script. Ask yourself, what would guarantee my failure? And before you start asking, why would I even ask myself that? But take an hour, get you a notebook, get you a Google spreadsheet, get you what is that, Office Space, QuickBooks. Do you a whole list. Write down your goals. Upgrade my career, increase my income, and then invert it. Ask yourself, what could I do to absolutely guarantee I stay stuck and underpaid for the next 5 years? Now, this is going to get deep because when you start listing everything that comes to mind, never learn a new skill. Only talk to people at my level or below me. Complain about problems without ever offering a solution. Do the bare minimum on my job. Look, you said that earlier today, bud. You said, Steve, you said that earlier today. Doing the bare minimum on my job. Waiting for my boss to notice me. Blame others when things go wrong. Spend all my free time on mindless entertainment. Avoid any task that feels uncomfortable. Listen to what I just said. That list, that's your roadmap of what not to do. Right? Your path to success is simply to avoid everything on that list that you just created. This is a profoundly non-confrontational way to get better. You're not fighting anyone. You're just declaring war on your own bad habits. Choose one item from your inversion list each week and focus on doing the exact opposite of that. If never learn a new skill is on there, your only goal for the week is to spend 15 minutes a day learning something. Doesn't matter what it is, but it would be nice to be in line with what you're trying to accomplish next. It's a silent personal audit that creates massive clarity. Now, if silent upgrades are about re-engineering your internal world, borrowed circles are about re-engineering your external world. The principle here is simple. Your personal growth will never move faster than the environment that you are in. Deliberately choosing your environment is one of the fastest ways to accelerate your success because it makes growth the path of least resistance. Now, this is how we get social social contagion to work for you, not against you. Okay? You don't need to be a master networker here. You just need to be a smart architect of your surroundings. So, there's a hard truth out there. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I have told you this on the show for the longest period of time. Their standards, their ambitions, their conversations, that all becomes your normal. If your circle is complaining, you'll feel anxious. If your circle is building things, you'll feel inspired. You got to think about this. The silent overhaul approach isn't about dramatically cutting people out of your life. That's confrontational. Instead, it's about a quiet, deliberate rebalancing of your time. Here's going to be 2 steps in this process that you're going to be able to work with. Identify drainers and drivers. We've covered something similar to this on the show once before. You want to make a quick list of people that you interact with regularly. Who leaves you feeling drained or cynical, meaning pissed off and complaining after you get off the phone or stop texting them? Somebody who leads you into the ability to rant in anger and frustrations about the conversation that just happened or about what's about to happen. Those are the drainers. Who leaves you feeling energized and motivated? The ones that leave you feeling at peace, happy, more capable of getting things done. Those are the drivers. You're going to execute a silent reallocation. Your goal is to silently decrease the time that you spend with drainers by 10% and increase the time that you spend with drivers by 10%. For example, you've got a buddy that always complains about the way life doesn't go their way. Spend less time on the phone with them. Spend less time hanging out with them. When they call, oh, my bad, I was busy. I didn't have the ability to answer the phone. I call you back when I have time. You can make some time to call them, but instead of y'all talking 3 times a week, y'all might only talk once a month. It's all done through small choices. Skip 1 negative lunch a month with them, 1 negative week of hanging out with them, 1 negative phone call with them, and use that time to schedule a 15-minute virtual coffee with a driver. Talking about somebody who has ambition, talking with somebody who has drive, talking with somebody who has ideas to help you improve your ambition and your drive. Over a year, this small shift completely changes your social center of gravity because you're not going to have as much time with the people who don't benefit you. One of the fastest ways to upgrade your thinking is to build relationships with people who are a step or 2 ahead of you. These are asymmetric connections. They already navigated the challenges that you're facing right now, which means that they can mentor you through them. You've got to think about the fact that if you've got mutual friends If your driver and your drainer are buddies, your driver and your drainer hangs out together. You have another driver that's not a buddy with your drainer. Instead of hanging out with your driver while hanging out with your drainer, go hang out with your other driver that doesn't affiliate with your drainer. Because the goal is to remove the drainer from your inner circle and have them in your outer circle so that you're drained less. Your goal is to add more drivers into your circle. And your circle still is going to be limited to the 5 most successful people. So if you go from 5 to 10, the 5 worst will be pushed out. If you go 10 to 15, the 10 worst will be pushed out. You'll still interact with them, but far less than you would interact with the 5 drivers. Now, how do you build these relationships without feeling like you're just using people? Because I know that a lot of people are going to say, yeah, he's just out there trying to use people. One of the first things I said about building a network is that you have to be valuable to your network. So you already know that I don't plan on using anybody. That's why the primary key to this is to lead with value, not with an ask. Here's a strategy that can be silently imposed in these dynamics and situations. Identify potential mentors. Find people in your industry that you admire. They don't have to be famous CEOs. They don't have to be the biggest boss in the building. A director in any other department or an author of a book that you respect are perfect. Become a silent follower for at least 30 days. Just observe them. Read their articles, listen to their interviews, go to their press conferences, understand what they care about. Find a micro opportunity to add value. And this is going to be key. Do not ask to pick their brain. Instead, give them something. Did they mention a problem in a podcast? Send a short email with a link to an article that might help them. Did they share a project? Share it with your network and let them know you did with one line comments on why you found it valuable. This approach is going to flip your script. You're a giver, not a taker. After you've provided value once or twice, sometimes it might be 3 or 4 times, depending on the value of benefit you believe you're going to get from the other person. Once you've provided that value with no strings attached, a future request for a brief chat about a specific topic is far more likely to get a yes than just coming out of nowhere and picking their brain. If you help somebody else become successful so that you can get the information that you need from them so that you can be just as successful, you have to understand that is the method of mentorship. You have to pull some people that are beneath you up to your level. You have to push some people up to their next level so that they can throw down a rope and pull you up to their level. And sometimes when there isn't a mentor in play, you have to climb yourself to the next level. But then you've got to reach down to the group that helped you get there. Because when there's nobody above you while you're climbing, guess what? Your network is pushing you up. And now that you've reached that next level, you have to reach down and get your group and bring them up with you. Accountability is key, but big groups can be extremely intimidating. A success pod is a private accountability group of 2 to 3 people out of the 5 that you got, designed for quiet ambition. Here's how it works. You find 2 peers, maybe 3. When you're looking for these people, these are the people who are also quietly ambitious. They can even be in different industries where they're not competitors against your goals and dreams. And that makes it more beneficial to you because they have nothing to lose by helping you succeed. Set a 6-week sprint. Everyone chooses one specific measurable goal for the next 6 weeks. Implement daily digital check-ins where y'all can send each other a mass group message or send each other mass group emails, and create these private chat groups. At the end of each day, each person sends a 1-sentence update. Completed module 2, sent 1 outreach email. That's it. Shared failures, not just wins. The most important rule is to also share the failures when you don't hit your goals. Planned to study but got sidetracked. Back on it tomorrow. This normalizes setbacks and builds resilience. Pitched a proposal, got rejected, reevaluating the proposal to pitch it again tomorrow. This structure is built on proven principles of accountability and peer support that are known to drive results, providing momentum without the pressure. Your environment isn't just people you see, it's also the information you can consume. And this is the ultimate non confrontational way to upgrade your inputs. So think of podcasts like this one, books, newsletters, as a way to borrow the circle of the world's highest achievers for free. You can have world-class investors as your business mentors, an elite athlete as your mindset coach, all through the content they created. The strategy is to be intentional, though. Conducting an input audit is one of the things that you have to do. And for 1 week, track the information you consume. How much is reactive, low value entertainment? People setting themselves on fire, choking on Tide Pods, doing ALS challenges, the water dance. How much of it is proactive, high value education? This podcast giving you new information every week. Government podcasts that are telling you about changes in your economy that's going to impact your money. Something that tech related that's related to your job that just got released. All of these things come into play. Curate your feeds. Unsubscribe, unfollow, and mute aggressively your platform. Remove anything that doesn't align with the identity that you're trying to build. So, dirty old man profile, you're gonna have to back down from that. When you subscribe, you want to subscribe with purpose. Proactively follow the drivers and asymmetric mentors that you identify. Flood your environment with the ideas and mindsets that you want to adopt. You go to a monk or a monastery and you learn the ways of the monk. You incorporate it, you practice it. When you leave, you take with you the skills that you learned. That same behavior happens here. You associate and affiliate yourself with people that you can benefit from. And then those people you learn from. And then when you part ways from them, you have new skills, new knowledge, and new experiences that you can implement in real time. When you constantly hear about building systems and overcoming failure, your own thought patterns begin to change. You are literally rewiring your brain by changing the data that you feed it. If you're finding these non-confrontational strategies valuable, I want you guys, while you're here hovering with me, to take a second and hit that subscribe button, mash those reaction buttons, because I release new videos every day with actionable behind the scenes tactics to help you guys level up your careers and income, and a lot of times even your relationships, without having to become someone that you're not. It's a silent vote of support, and it ensures you won't miss what we've got next. Now, since we've talked about your social environment, but this also applies to your physical and digital spaces. Your environment sends constant cues to your brain, but what to do next is the question. A messy desk with notifications everywhere cues distraction. A clean space dedicated to one task cue relates to focus. We can use this to our advantage through something that we're calling choice architecture. Because your brain is lazy, so is mine. It's going to follow the path of least resistance. So let's design our environment to make good habits easy, bad habits hard. First, create success hot zones. Dedicate a specific physical location to a single high-valued activity. This chair is only for reading industry news. This corner of the room is only for my side projects. This chair is only to make money in. When you do the same task in the same place repeatedly, your brain builds a powerful association. The moment you sit in that chair, that is your reading chair. Your brain is already getting ready to focus. The environment does the work for you. Now apply friction hacking. If you're applying friction hacking to bad habits, you'll be able to make your distractions less convenient. What do I mean by this? When I start talking about this, a lot of y'all young bucks is gonna be like, oh, hell no. But let's think about this real quick. If you want to watch TV less, unplug it and put the remote in another room. That extra 30 seconds of effort is often enough to break the impulse. If you got to go through all of that, like for example, I got my TV in a box in the living room. The box it came in. If I want to watch the TV, I have to take it out of the box, set it up, plug it in, grab the remote, and turn it on. The effort it takes for me to get the TV in the on position to start watching TV is so much that I don't want to do it. So what does that stop me from doing? Wasting time with the TV. Here's another example. For those of you that spend a lot of time on your cell phone, you have to charge your cell phone. Put the cell phone on the other side of the room on the charger. Go to bed. You cannot reach the cell phone from your bed. It can't distract you. It's not going to keep you up all night because it's way over there. Matter of fact, you could put your cell phone, turn a ringer on and have the volume at a reasonable level, put your cell phone in another room. You can have it charging in the living room while you're in the bedroom. If it rings, you'll hear it. but that means you've got to get up and go get it, which changes the way you do things. If you have an issue with mindless scrolling, delete the apps from your phone. If you're just sitting there flipping through the shorts reel on TikTok for 5 hours out of the night when you should have been in bed, if you're online playing one of those mass multiplayer online games, lose track of time, completing short quests, just delete the game. Force yourself to log in through a web browser, which is going to be clunkier and a very, very inconvenient experience. This friction breaks the instant gratification loop, because a lot of times you could simply tap your phone's history, tap the browser that your phone already had accessible for the game, then the game will auto refresh. You can sometimes tap the app and it'll automatically log you into certain websites, and you'll automatically be on the real page that you was on when you logged off. These small tweaks are powerful because they automate good decisions. This also works in a way towards quitting bad habits. For example, if you're a heavy smoker, stop buying. If you're a heavy drinker, stop buying. If you don't have access to it at your house and you don't have it on you, you are less likely to do it. And if you only carry enough money for your lunch, or if you only carry enough money to put gas in your car, you don't have any money on you to go and purchase it off of the addictive need to have it. Doesn't stop you from asking someone else, but your pride, forever asking for a drink or forever asking for a cigarette, is going to prevent you from going and asking for it, which prevents you from using it as often. It doesn't mean that you're not going to end up doing it. It just means you're going to do it a lot less. Reducing your access to it reduces the likelihood of dependency on it. When medical providers recommend that you don't eat certain foods, you don't have those foods in the house so that you're not compelled to consume those foods. This method works in a lot of places. You're not relying on your discipline. You're relying on the design. Think about the difference between if you had a refrigerator and a microwave in your bedroom versus having the refrigerator and microwave in the kitchen. How many more times out of the day might you grab yourself an extra snack if you could get it in the room instead of having to go to the other side of the house and go get it? We can take this even further. This is about making your desired path so ridiculously easy that it's almost impossible not to follow it. So let's apply this to your career goals. Make growth visible. Want to reach out to one new person each week? Don't just put it on a to-do list. Write their name on a sticky note and put it on your bathroom mirror. Your environment should scream your intentions back at you. Prepare for success, because if you want to spend 30 minutes learning a new skill before work, the night before, open your laptop to the exact course page, lay out your notebook, and place a glass of, well, you might want to have like a bottle of water or something like that next to your computer so that somebody doesn't knock it over and burn out your computer. But when you wake up early enough to perform this task, which means you're going to bed early enough to perform this task, you're going to take the path of least resistance, which is to simply sit down at that computer and start doing that task. Create some behavioral walls to protect your finances. create deliberate friction. For example, automate your savings, like we always tell you in investment podcasts that we do. So the money is gone before you can touch it. Michael has said before, get rid of all your credit cards. I don't recommend getting rid of all your credit cards. If you have lines of credit that do not have usage stipulations on them, you don't have to get rid of the account itself. You could cut up the card so that you can't use the card and just maintain the line of credit. If you don't have a debit card, you can't go to the ATM. That means you've got to go to the bank. The effort it takes for you to go into the bank and wait in line to withdraw the money might not be worth it in the moment, which then prevents you from spending unnecessary money on impulse purchases. If you struggle with impulse buys, you can use a 72-hour rule. Anything non-essential goes on a list, and you can only buy it at the moment you pass the 3 days. And for a lot of you people who typically have to budget your money in order to get something, 3 days might not be enough for you. You might want to have to wait 30 to 90 days before you get it. Why? Because if you've got to wait 5 days until you get your paycheck so that you can go buy it because that's something that you want, you're able to wait 72 hours on your impulse buying and still not be satisfied with your growth and your improvement. If you're the kind of person that will impulse buy as soon as you get paid on the things that you've been looking at in between paychecks, your challenge now is not to just avoid making the purchase within the first 72 hours. Your challenge now is to not make that purchase inside of the first 60 days. Let 4 paychecks pass by and see how you feel about that item. If you're getting paid weekly, you want to let 8 to 12 paychecks pass by. But if you're getting paid bi-weekly, let 4 paychecks pass by. That's 16 weeks. If you still want it 16 weeks later, go ahead and go get it. This separates the wants from the needs. And more often than not, the things that you want that you don't need, that would negatively impact your financial success, you're less likely to go buy it because you're not going to utilize it. It is for nothing other than the pure dopamine entertainment of the acquisition of the item, but it does not necessarily provide you any new growth or self-validation or self-worth or self-value in your life. Which means that that item is ultimately going to take up space and collect dust. It might be a cool trinket to share with friends and family. It might be a cool conversation starter. It might be a momentum of victory for some reason, a trophy of success to rub in the face of those around you. But beyond the introduction of the item, it holds no other value. By designing your physical and digital spaces, you offload the work of self-control onto your environment. And it becomes your silent partner in your growth. An example of this would be someone by the name of Anne, who was a talented software developer. Brilliant, consistent, wrote elegant code. She was quiet. She hated office politics and never spoke up unless she was directly asked a question. For 3 years, she watched the moral, vocal, less skilled peers get promoted to seniors and team leader roles. She was frustrated, burnt out, and thinking about leaving the tech company altogether. Then she tried our silent overhaul method. She didn't announce anything. She didn't confront her managers. She just started making small, invisible shifts. First, she did an identity sprint for 30 days. Her new identity was a product minded engineer. Before writing any code, she'd ask, how does this feature serve the user? How does it help the business? Next, she built her skill stack. She was seen as the project manager that used specific tools for user research. So she spent 45 minutes every morning before anyone else was online taking free courses on more advanced tools that could expedite her ability to perform. Simultaneously, she engineered her borrowed circles. She joined 2 online communities for product managers where she mostly just listened, absorbing their language and ways of thinking. And she also silently followed a senior product manager that she admired, eventually sending him a helpful resource that he'd been mentioning on a podcast. They slowly struck up a friendly correspondence. Her communication style changed as well. In meetings, she used her prepared talking points. She started asking questions from her new identity, like, I see how we can build this, but what does the data say about how users interact with this part of the app now? Nobody noticed these individual changes, but about 6 months in, something happened. The head of product was in a meeting where Anna pointed out a critical flaw in a proposed feature, backing it up with the data that she pulled herself. He was floored. He never really noticed her before. A few weeks later, new position was created specifically for that technical product manager, hybrid role, needing both deep engineering knowledge and a strong user focus. And didn't even have to apply. The head of product came directly to her. It was a non-linear jump, skipping the traditional career track and landing her in a more strategic, visible, and higher paying role. Her colleagues were shocked. To them, it seemed like she came out of nowhere, but she knew the truth. Her promotion wasn't a sudden event. It was the inevitable result of hundreds of silent, deliberate upgrades that made her the only logical choice. That's the power of the silent overhaul. You have the framework and you understand the philosophies. So, from the internal work of silent upgrades to the external engineering of borrowed circles, having the knowledge without action is just entertainment. And we're not here just to entertain you. We're here to give you the knowledge that you need to make yourself better than what you were yesterday. So here is my challenge to you. I want you to pick at least one, just one strategy from tonight's show. Maybe it's starting a 30-day identity sprint as a data storyteller, or maybe it's identifying one or more drainers and drivers in your network to make that 10% shift in time. Maybe it's adding friction to your worst habits, or maybe it's writing down your inversion list tonight. Choose that one that feels most doable for you right now and commit to it for the next 2 weeks. That's it. The goal is to build momentum, not to change your entire life overnight. And now, that call of action, because once you have chosen your one thing, I want you to do 2 things for me. First, subscribe to the channel so that you can keep getting this type of information and strategic career guides every day of the week. 2, Scroll down and leave a comment telling me which one of the silent upgrades that you're committing to for the next 2 weeks. By writing it down, you make it real. And you're going to be joining a community of other people with quiet ambitions who are on the same path. And I read every single comment, and I want to see what you're planning on building. The world will tell you that you need to be louder to get ahead, that you need to shout your accomplishments from the rooftop. The world will tell you that you have to have every success on the palm of your hand like an active resume to be recognized and credible. But the truth is, you don't need to be loud to win. You just need to be smart. Alphas have to fight their way to the top. Alphas have to fight to stay at the top. Sigmas just have to negotiate to the people to agree with them, which puts them at the top. A Sigma doesn't have to fight an Alpha for the lead role. A Sigma just has to convince everybody else that following the Sigma is better than following the Alpha. You're not going to take everyone with you. You're only going to take the ones that benefit the most. He said, I appreciate this content. Well, you guys got to make sure that you take the time to like and subscribe because we have information like this every day. Sunday, we have questions and comments. Not everybody comes through and asks the type of empowering question that helps them benefit their job. A lot of people want to fix their relationships because you got to get your personal life together so that you can focus on your business life. But when you want to improve your business life so that you got more money to spend on your personal life, you still got to come to the show and ask about it. I know we got a lot of trolls that come to the show and they want to make sly comments, but they're not trying to learn and improve themselves. But when they hang out here often enough, you will come to find that there are way more ways that you can make yourself better than what you used to be. And this was a free interaction outside of the ads that rolled through and interrupted your ability to watch the show. But what seminar can you say that you've attended in the past 10 years? They gave you all the information that you needed to be more successful and didn't charge you a penny. Y'all got to think about that when you consider joining a membership. Now, remember, the truth is you don't need to be loud to win. You just need to be smart, okay? You need to be strategic. The most powerful transformations happen in the quiet, consistent moments of daily effort. If you start your silent overhaul today, you have everything that you need right now to make yourself more successful in 2026 than what you were in 2025. You have enough right now because we've got about 2 weeks left in the month of December. If you start now, it's not just a New Year's resolution. It's going to become a way of life going forward. That by the second week of January, you will be benefiting from your results if you maintain consistency. That by the first week of February, you will be capitalizing on your efforts. That is the observation. And these are proven methods that have worked time after time. It is not about forcing your way to the top. It's about navigating your way to the top. You don't always have to go through people. You can go around them. You don't always have to convince them to accept you. You can just have them go with you. This is the path that I'm heading on. The level of success that I want to have will follow that path with me. But it's got to be up to you. You guys have to set the par for yourselves. Now, before we go, I want to say, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you, ladies, to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. And then, fellas, I give you all this information to make yourselves higher value men, not just in your finances, but in your personal life. Because these methods doesn't just make you more successful in business. It also makes you more successful in your personal life. navigating through the type of people that drain you versus the type of people that empower you, that drive you, is just like navigating through finding a woman that might be good in bed but is a very toxic person outside of bed versus finding a woman that empowers you to do more and be more and is good in bed. You can find one that's not going to nag you when you come home, and find one that's going to try to help you when you come home so that you can have more stuff done. But ladies, while this is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective, this is not exclusive to the fellas. Ladies, y'all can find y'all some better men too if you changing your perspective. Instead of finding the dude that ain't got nothing going on with his life, you can find a guy that's got something going on with his life. If you got to keep playing catch up to his drive, you're going to help him become better, but you're going to strive to be better too, and you're going to follow his lead and lead from the rear. If you find somebody with the same mindset that you have, y'all don't have to have the exact same goals. Y'all don't have to have the exact same dreams, but your outcome and his outcome are in line with one another. That's a successful relationship. You just got to make sure that he's willing to invest reasonably as much into you as you're willing to invest in him. And then y'all are going to invest into each other and become more successful. Now, with that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to this and that. We're here 7 nights a week. Tomorrow's going to be Sunday. We're going to be doing questions and comments from the fans. So I want you guys to come through. I'm going to be getting more shows put up there Sunday night, next Sunday night, set up Monday night for tonight so that you guys have an opportunity to hit that notification button for upcoming shows. We should have Thursday, Friday, and Saturday already up there for this upcoming week. So stay tuned for everything that we have coming. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I will see you guys tomorrow night.
Chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command.